Hello, I'm Brian Fox. Welcome to I Hate Rock Music. And this video is going to be about the band Big Bertha. And a lot of times the discussion of Big Bertha gets tied together with the band Bedlam because they're essentially the same band with some minor differences. But I want to do a separate video on Big Bertha because they definitely were a separate band. And there's a lot of things about Big Bertha that are a lot different than Bedlam. And so let's get into it. Big Bertha was around from 1969 to 1971. They existed in a couple of different formats. They ended up being a power trio with Cozy Powell on drums, Dave Ball on guitar, and Dennis Ball on bass. And both the Ball brothers did the singing. Dave Ball eventually ended up in Procol Harum. But as you can see, those three members, both or all of them, ended up in Bedlam. And they also had um, Pete Ball on keyboards and Pete French on vocals at different junctures in the band. There's this Big Bertha single on Atlantic called "The World Is an Apple," back with Gravy Booby Jam, but they're actually billed as Ace Kefford Stand featuring Big Bertha, and they're the ones that feature Peter French and Pete Ball. But then there's a German single on United Artists the following year, Munich City, 1970, Munich City and Funky Woman. And that band is a quintet and pretty solid British rock. And that has Pete Ball on keyboards. And I think Danny Aiello from Bedlam is on vocals. I'm not sure. It might be Peter French. But they put out those two singles, one Big Bertha single proper, and then one billed as the Ace Kefford Stand with Big Bertha. And of course, Ace Kefford left the Move in 1969, so that Ace Kefford Stand singles from 1969, Big Bertha from 1970. And so they never did get around to recording an album, but thanks for the interest in Cozy Powell's work. Rest in peace. Now we have some great Big Bertha material. And one of the main things that we have by them is the Live in Hamburg in 1970. And that's the power trio with Cozy Powell, Dave Ball, and Dennis Ball. And it's pretty heavy, and it's got a lot of extended guitar work. And so they really show what they're made of. And I wish they'd record a studio record because as trios go, they're pretty killer. And now we find out Dave Ball is capable of a lot of long improvisations. You can hear a lot of what he can do on the Bedlam album. And he's a great guitar player, and his work with Procol Harum is really excellent too. But it's really cool to find out that he could really hold his own in a power trio and do these extended jams. And some of the material on Live in Hamburg showed up later on with Bedlam, The Beast, and Set Me Free. But they also did a really strange version of Ring of Fire. And yes, it's that Ring of Fire. In fact, they do two covers back to back, Ring of Fire and She's Not There. So really odd choices. I did them off the cuff. I get the impression from listening to the record and them talking on stage that those are songs they just pulled out of their ass and decided to play live. But they do Spoonful and Crossroads, both songs associated with Cream, and do excellent versions of those. And then their single Munich City is in there as well, but it's really hard to tell. Uh, it, it's really hard to tell that it's the same song that came out in the single, but of course stripped down to a trio and being live and blazing, it would sound a lot different than the Munich City single. So there you have it. They have two singles, one single proper, and then we got this live record, and I'm really glad we have it. And I like thinking about Big Bertha being separate from Bedlam because they really are two different bands, even though they share so many members. And so anyway, I'll post the singles below. Definitely check out the B side of the Ace Kefford Stand single featuring Big Bertha because Gravy Booby Jam is super heavy. It's really killer. Um, when I hear that, I definitely wish there was a lot more material done in the studio by this band. It's pretty crazed. And then the live record, and it's not a stellar recording, but it definitely is a great recording. And so I'm glad we have it. There's a lot of stuff recorded, particularly in shows in Germany from that era, 69, 70, and a lot of times they aren't that good of sound quality, but this one's pretty solid, and so a good listen. So in the case of Big Bertha, I recommend checking them out. It's definitely worth picking up that live record. I really I really wish they'd recorded a studio album because it would have been great, especially as a power trio. But we have this material, so there you have it. So check them out. Link below. I'm Brian Fox. Thanks for watching my channel.